It's PRESSCORE, people. I'm David Cruz. Can we talk about this week? Signs of democracy on one hand, and yikes, what country are we in on the other hand? Let's get the panel in here. Kenneth Burns covers Jersey for WHYY. Daniel Hahn covers the state for Politico. And Charles Stile is political columnist for The Record at NorthJersey.com. Gents, welcome. So let's set the stage here. A bill by Senate President Nick Scutari could strip the Comptroller's office of its powers and give it to a commission whose leaders, Scutari, and the Assembly Speaker could hire and fire. Typical, outrageous, last-minute, lame duck stuff. But then the hearing on Monday, Charles, can you contextualize this for us? What the hell just happened?
Thank you, Chairman.
I would like you to come, just like everyone else. You speak first. That you two wait your turn.
There's literally no one else on the list.
So what? So what makes you special that you can come up with your people? No one else came up. Everyone came as one.
You had a group testify as a group earlier in this hearing. The people of New Jersey are sick and tired of this.
That's
they
3
feel
minutes,
this way.
so please
Sir,
conclude.
I have been here for 5.5 hours.
Yeah,
I am missing
so what?
votes at the
So
Capitol.
is everyone
Give
else.
me 30
Why do you
seconds.
think you're special?
No,
you're not.
What happened was you gave Mr. Keller special privileges here.
He came at my request.
Yes.
You didn't.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay. So there is someone that is special.
All right.
I would just note for the record, that's a textbook First Amendment violation of viewpoint discrimination, which the Attorney General's office will be taking up.
This was WWE for New Jersey politics. I think this was a long ventilating of a long simmering hostilities between the establishment wing of the Democratic Party and the progressives. And the touchstone was this bill that would basically strip away the power of the office of the Comptroller. Kevin Walsh right now, who's been trouncing up and down the state, upending and putting his spotlight on in corners of the political establishment that have long been ignored, where corruption and mismanagement has festered, and he has really gone into the belly of the beast.
And been a general pain in the ass to them all,
Right, and they've never had this before. Never have they had this before. This is really a phenomenon that they're not comfortable with. So this bill is really an attempt to kind of rein it in.
Yeah, I want to talk about the bill in a second, but I also, can you contextualize the exchange that really was the low light of this between Senator Beach and Senator Kim?
Yeah, I think the backdrop of the context of this is that Andy Kim ran successfully for the U.S. Senate last year without bending a knee to the party establishment. He won without them. And on top of that, he ran against them. He made them the subject of his campaign, the target of his campaign. And they resent it. They resent not having any kind of, they resent being vilified by Andy Kim and the progressives. They feel and they can't control him.
Let's lay this out. You have Senator Jim Beach, who is part of the Democratic machine in Camden County. And he's facing off against Andy Kim, who Charles has perfectly laid out as public enemy number one as far as the establishment goes, who is sitting next to Matt Platkin, who has royally pissed off the particularly Camden County for going after George Norcross. And by the way, does anybody find it curious that the New Jersey NAACP is speaking in favor of this bill, which has no other co-sponsors? And oh, by the way, the NAACP also spoke in favor of quashing an indictment that is in legal limbo right now. The outrage, typical, I agree, but this is This is basically the culmination of several years of fighting between the progressive wing and the establishment, but particularly for Camden County, which I cover with some regularity. This was everyone having a chance to take a shot at the people who are actually doing their jobs. Remember the last report that the Comptroller did? Went after Norcross's insurance companies and the improprieties that were pointed out. So basically, everyone is pissed off at the Comptroller and anyone who is not part of this establishment. And to bring it down a notch, I think it was curious that basically this is one of the few bipartisan things we've seen out of the legislature, because it's not like the Republicans like the Comptroller either.
Yeah. Daniel, I'm going to assume that this exceeds even the most Trenton-y thing that you have seen in your relatively short stay here, yeah?
Yeah, I will say that was the most memorable legislative day I have ever had in the State House. I mean, if we just kind of take a step back here, what happened is that you had a U.S. Senator, Andy Kim, the New Jersey Attorney General, Matt Plotkin, and the acting Comptroller, Kevin Walsh, the three most high-profile opponents of this bill to defang the Comptroller. They were made to wait literally like 4 or 5 hours, depending on how you count it, in order to testify on the bill. And out of a really petty Trenton move, they were made to speak last.
Yeah.
And you actually had people who also opposed the bill who said, you know, I will cede my time to Andy Kim because he has to catch a train to Washington to take votes as a U.S. Senator. And Senator Jim Beach, who chairs the committee in which the bill was heard, he just said, "Oh, I don't care about that. No one here is special. Nobody's special."
Unless you supported the bill.
Yes, and then as Andy Kim pointed out, Beach was rather strict in limiting Kim, Walsh, and Plotkin to their 3 minutes of speaking. Granted, he did allow them to take and answer questions from other state senators, but he was trying to hold them to a tight leash as far as how often they could speak. And meanwhile, supporters of the bill were able to speak at length at the very start of the committee hearing. So on its face, it's a little bit petty. And then when Kim was pointing that out, that hey, you had people in the beginning that were able to talk for a long time. Why can't I talk? You have what has now become an instantly infamous moment in State House political history of State Senator Jim Beach like jabbing his finger at Andy Kim, saying, "What makes you special?" It's something that's just really been looked down upon, not only just by progressive Democrats, but also I would argue like mainstream Democrats. I was talking with State Senator Vin Kopal yesterday, and he even said as much on the record. He said, "Yeah, like I think Jim Beach was very disrespectful of Andy Kim," and I think that also that Gopal would not vote in the bill in its current form.
Yeah.
And I think you're starting to see that a little bit more. You're starting to see some behind the scenes, some lawmakers, other insiders starting to express hesitancy around this bill. And you got to wonder if it's how far it could go in its current form. Scuteri has a lot of political capital here. Like, does he want to spend it all on this? I mean, he's the Senate president, so he could hold up he could theoretically hold up everything else in order to get this comptroller bill in. But yeah, it's a question of how much political capital does he really want to spend on this.
Yeah.
Can I add one piece of context to that? That was a good rundown. The other context to this is lame duck, and this is the political establishment who had their cage rattled by this comptroller in the past couple of years. They're seeing this as their last real chance to strip or defang, as the word Daniel used, this agency before the new Sherrill administration comes in. And they see it as a rogue agency. So this is the time. And there really is no current form of the bill. The essential heart of this bill is stripping an executive power of the comptroller, which is an executive independent entity, and putting it under the thumb of the legislature. There's no other bill really, and I don't know what other watered down version they're talking about. And that is really, it's really putting a fox in charge of the henhouse kind of move, and really defies what our framers of the 1947 Constitution really envisioned, which was making sure that giving the governor power to check some of the excesses of the legislature. And that's why they made the governor so powerful. And it just really boggles the mind to think that Phil Murphy is going to cede that power to the legislature on the way out the door.
Yeah.
And it also boggles the mind that Mikie Sherrill really hasn't said much about it, because she stands at risk of losing that power.
It would cut their nose off in spite of their face, because Kevin Walsh is still acting comptroller because he never got the hearing to be full comptroller.
Right.
And there's no guarantee that Mikie Sherrill will hold on to Kevin Walsh once she is inaugurated. So
right. I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I don't think he expects to be kept on anyway. But
right, I don't either.
You know, just going back to Scutari, Daniel, he doesn't mind being the devil. He seems to relish it sometimes.
I don't know what to say in response to that. I think my response would just be that right now Scutari obviously is not a big fan of the comptroller. He's talked about consolidating watchdogs for a while, and he's taken on.
You think he's serious that he's going to push this all the way, or is he playing like some 3D chess that he's really just doing it so that he can get something else?
It's a little hard to say. Like, what I've noticed about the Scutari Senate presidency is that he'll find a handful of issues that he personally really cares a lot about, and then everything else, the way it's been described to me, is that he could be a little bit less ideological, a little bit more transactional. And like some of the issues that he cares a lot about, for example, is like cannabis policy, auto insurance policy, and now it appears what to do of New Jersey's watchdogs.
Yeah.
Do
you think he feels that in his heart, or is he just playing some political game?
I can't look into the Senate president's heart. Only into the legislation that he puts out.
Charlie, look into his soul.
I'm trying to get my lamp on here on my head here, but I think now what we do know is that Walsh went right at the Union County base of Nick Scutari.
One of his investigations.
Right, which found that they were padding their pay with inappropriately padding their pay with stipends and tuition reimbursements, and to the tune of almost $480,000 collectively. So it was, it was embarrassing, and he had to, Nick Scutari's got to answer for that, and he's got to protect his people down there. And so to have this guy going and just creating this kind of trouble, maybe he's not going to be the guy in going forward. But Mikie Sherrill is, run on an affordability campaign and somewhat of a reform theme. Who knows who she'll park in there? And so I think he's really serious. I don't think he's playing games with this one. I think he's going to go to the mattresses for this.
All right. We could spend the whole show on this, but let's move on a little bit. Speaking of Mikie Sherrill, who we all agree is kind of here and there on this bill, she announces Dale Caldwell, her lieutenant governor.
David, if I may, yes. I think the one thing I'll point out, and I want to hold everyone to the same standard here, like Governor Murphy, who would be the governor who signs or vetoes this thing, has also not weighed in.
Yes,
but also Sherrill weighed in by not weighing in, because she put out this statement that said, on the one hand, it expressed this idea that she's opposed weakening watchdogs, but then in the same breath, she also said, but I'm not going to comment on any ongoing bills. And it's a comment that tries to have it both ways, and she's defended it, saying, "Oh, like a bill could change from its current form to its final form."
Like I thought it was milquetoast.
Yeah,
I thought it was milquetoast. She could have just come out and said, "I'm opposed to stripping the independence of the Office of the State Comptroller, which has done important work, and I'm opposed to that." Period. And that would have.
Daniel is a diplomat, Charles. So
I know he is. He's wants a job with the UN. Look at him, but he's smiling.
Charlie, it's just you that makes me smile, man. But like to that point though, like
yeah.
so supporters of the bill, like Scuteri, would argue, well, Sherrill put out the statement, and this bill does not weaken watchdogs because, as like the Scuteri of it all, the Scuteri worldview is that this strengthens the State Commission of Investigation, and that will be the anti-corruption watchdog. And I mean, you know,
he overlooks the fact, however, or doesn't mention the fact that he's going to appoint who runs that thing. So, I mean, not to say that Nick Scutari would ever act in an overtly political way, but some politicians do that. So,
Fox guarding the hen house.
well, yeah, all right. Let's
Where
move
have
on
we
from
heard
one.
this before? Didn't we hear this with Oprah last year?
Yes, we
Just
did,
saying.
and we're going to move on from that one as well. But I hear all of you on this. We were talking about Mikie Sherrill and her wishy-washy support or lack of support thereof, only to mention that that Dale Caldwell is her Secretary of State, and she's got a new Chief Operating Officer. I don't know how this is. I mean, I can understand the Dale Caldwell as the Secretary of State, but why do you need a Chief Operating Officer? Isn't that what a Chief of Staff does, Charles?
Yeah, I don't. That needs a little more clarity.
Yeah. It makes me think that Alex Ball is going to be like getting her on Colbert, for instance.
Yeah, she's going to be a booking agent, and the other one is going to do the gritty dealing with the Nick Scutaris and Craig Coughlin's of the world. I guess I don't know.
I don't remember the state ever having a chief operating officer. Do you, Kenny?
No, not here, not anywhere.
Yeah.
Not to my knowledge. That's a new one.
Daniel, you want to say something diplomatic about this?
So if I may, I don't have any particular insight as to what what the chief operating officer position will be, but I think this really underscores is that the governor-elect picked Kelly Doucette to be that chief operating officer, and Doucette has been a close Sherrill aide ever since Sherrill really first entered Congress, and I think that underscores how the governor-elect really appreciates that loyalty, and she has in her circle that she's taking from D.C. to Trenton.
Yep.
Is that diplomatic
There's
enough?
nothing wrong with that. That's natural. Just make her chief of staff. That's a big deal.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's think while we're at it, while we're talking about the governor elect. She was on Stephen Colbert this week.
I thought I told you not to push.
Kenny, is it odd that we're only hearing this baby in the cab story now?
Yes and no. The yes part is I wish I would have heard this on the campaign trail because
that would have been a great story to tell on the campaign trail.
But at the same time, here's where I'm not surprised, because for the last several years, the Democratic Party as a whole have been very meticulous with their non-message.
Yeah.
As far as trying to paint a narrative or an image. And if they have not been paying attention over the last couple of years, they need to be human. They need to be relatable to people at the end of the day. And again, we had a pissed off electorate pissed off at Trump in real time, which boasted her numbers on election day.
Yeah.
Had it been a normal year, it would have been a much closer race.
Charlie, if Cory Booker is in a similar situation, he'd have told that story 100 times on the campaign trail, no?
Even if it wasn't real.
Even if it was an amalgamation of individuals involved.
Yeah, it was a composite from somebody.
Composite,
like
yes. Speaking of Cory Booker, though, his wedding announcement, big New York Times thingy, straight out of Central casting wife. Come on, Kenny, you're cynical like me, right?
I didn't know he was dating anybody. The last person that I knew he dated was Rosario Dawson.
He does have a type, it seems.
Yeah, first of all, Mazel Tov, I hope it works out.
Yeah.
At the same, and kudos to him for actually keeping it out of the public light until he absolutely had to tell folk.
Yeah.
But
I
What
mean,
can
it
you say?
coincided. I'm going to just say that it coincided with a trip to New Hampshire. Daniel, bring some lightness and some
Be diplomatic.
lack of cynicism to Cory Booker getting married this week.
Oh, David, I am far too diplomatic to say anything, but congratulations to the newlywed couple. And who knows, maybe we'll see them both on the campaign trail in 2028.
I
For
really do hope it works out,
president.
but still.
It's a perfect match. Anyway, all right. Can we spend a couple of seconds on District 11 race? Chaos in this virtual nominating session. Were you privy to any of that, Daniel? Did you see or hear any of that?
No, I wasn't actually tuned in to the
Yeah.
Essex County Democratic online convention.
Yeah.
But from what I read, it was you basically had two options. It was endorse Brendan Gill, or actually I should say three options: endorse Brendan Gill, don't endorse anybody, or endorse one of the other a bajillion candidates who are also
Yeah.
running for
Yeah.
Congress in District 11. Yeah, I think that this shit kind of shows that Brendan's getting a lot of the establishment support, which is not a surprise. He's an Essex County commissioner. He's the chief strategist that got Phil Murphy into office in
Sure.
2017. He's close with the county chairman and state Democratic chairman Leroy Jones. So I think that this all just underscores the fact that Brendan's entering the CD11 race as one of the top contenders, and he does have a lot of that establishment backing. I guess I'm curious. Every election every election in New Jersey is going to be more of a test in a post-line world, or where how much does establishment support really even matter all that much?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to correct myself real quick. It's not like the county line would have made a difference in this election since it's a special election for one House seat. But still, I think it's
But
interesting
it's
to
where
look
are the
at.
bosses is going to be the question, and how much strength do the bosses have anymore?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that you can make an argument that you need all the support you can get, and especially in such a crowded field, anything is any advantage, is going to help you across the finish line. But I guess we'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
All right.
Charlie, what about does Brendan Gill just have it wrapped up?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think Daniel's right. I mean, he has the institutional support. He's toiled long there in Essex County as a county commissioner,
Yeah.
and he's well known there. But I mean, I would not dismiss the outsider, or Tom Malinowski, who's got a lot of who a lot. He has a lot of the Tom Malinowski voter that propelled him in the 7th district. Is a lot of similarity, say, in the 11th district, the suburban, liberal, somewhat affluent and
Yeah.
well educated. And he's got a lot of name recognition. He's already has a lot of advertisements, and you have such a splintered field. I'm not so sure it's wrapped up. I do think
Yeah.
he has an advantage because of it, but I'm not convinced that McGill has it wrapped up.
Yeah.
And sidebar, I mean, you also have the sitting Lieutenant Governor Tahisha Way.
I was just going to mention her. Go.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you have literally one of the few statewide officials, coming out with support from, I believe, the Congressional Black Caucus, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
You have Anna Lilia Mea. She was, coming right out the door with an endorsement from Bernie Sanders. I mean, these are all really, really competitive candidates who could kind of come to the table and say, look, I'm able to raise this much money. I have support from all these institutional players from whatever corner of Trenton or Washington or Essex County.
And hey,
And it's
being
gonna-
against the line is in style now. I mean, and look at Jersey City, Charles. Two socialist Democrats on the city council here in Jersey City. Frank Hague is rolling over in his grave multiple times.
He is. He's doing pirouettes in his grave.
Yes.
And but you also have to I think it's an extension of what we also saw in the assembly races. We saw
Yeah.
people like Katie Brennan and Mayor Bala in Hoboken ran on a blatantly progressive anti-machine ticket, and there were about 7 people, new Democrats, who were elected, who were either kept an arm's length distance from the establishment or ran outside the system. And that's all a product of the fact that that we don't have a line. That they probably wouldn't have thrown their hat in a ring if there was still a line.
Yeah.
So I think there's a very unsettled Democratic Party right now. And it doesn't surprise me that progressives like Anna Leela are jumping in and trying to take a shot, because I don't think the race is just a pro forma exercise anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Press Corps is done for the week. Daniel, Chaz, Kenny, thank you. Good to see you all. We welcome your comments on the show. Comment below or in the chat. We'll engage on some of the more interesting ones and maybe even have you on the show. Meanwhile, thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing, which I know you're doing right now. I'm David Cruz. Thanks for streaming. We'll see you next week.